Viewers, welcome back. Some economists believe that the investment in CPEC is a good thing, but they believe that we have to categorize. Some people believe that we should go for a more investment in energy sector through the CPEC. Some people believe that we should do more investment in agriculture through the CPEC. In the same way, of course, infrastructure is very important, but I think there is another important area which is missing, that is industrialization.
I agree with you.
Until and unless we have a proper and genuine industrialization on the roots of the CPEC, there is a need of proper mapping of the economic zones, but still we are not able to find any economic zones, special economic zones in the CPEC. But still the last government said we have this, present government is saying the same thing. So how you see that, is this CPEC will be a success story or like a
look, for China it will always be a success story. For even America it will be a success story, because it is going to shorten their route to the Chinese market and vice versa. I agree with you that the pivot around which an economy revolves is industrialization. We are a country which is not part of C20, group of G20. We have to reach there. Until such time that we give employment to this youth bulge, and we produce exportable goods. So industry is the only, but not any industry. Industry that produces producer goods, not consumer goods. Industry which is going to satisfy the needs of Chinese and Central Asians and Russians on this side, and the Europeans and the Americans on that side of Gwadar, and at the same time satisfy the needs of Pakistanis will be. And I agree that no government has given us along that route the areas where these new firms can come up.
Okay, sir, my next question is related with the smuggling. So this is the area which is really affecting our economy, and some people believe that we have a parallel economy. So how you see, is this smuggling is really affecting us, or how we should manage this smuggling?
Look, the answer to this question is in the first question that you asked, the inefficiencies of the government.
Bad governance.
Bad governance. It is, nothing can go in and out of this country without the permission of the taxpayer person or a custom officer or whatever the authorities that control our borders. It is with the conveyance that things happen, and that is also why we have not been able to stop the drug smuggling, which then is related to terror financing, and we have not been able to get out of the grey list of TFT, because we have been able to plug in money laundering, but we have not been able to plug in smuggling, especially drug smuggling, and therefore terror financing. Yes, that is a very important question, but at the same time, apart from drugs, I am talking about goods that you are talking about, goods from India which come from Dubai or and such
from
forth,
the Iran side
and such forth. The question again comes to is that any product, why don't you allow, I mean the best example is Iranian oil coming into Karachi and Balochistan, while the companies give us oil at let us say more than 100 rupees a litre, that is about 85-86 rupees a litre. Now that comes in tankers, and it doesn't come in buckets. So there is somewhere the inefficiency of the government. But I believe that we should have sales tax, not custom duties. If you allow the entire economy without custom duties, but the entire economy with 15% sales tax, then the question of smuggling will end. All importers will be smugglers, and all smugglers will be importers. Things will come duty free, will be only things that you do not allow or that affect your environment, affect your religion, affect your human resource.
my next question is related with the IMF, International Monetary Fund. So some people believe that we should go, and some people still say that we should not go. So this is a debate. So some economists say that we should go to the IMF with our own terms and conditions. But IMF, they will have their own terms and conditions. So sir, how you see the bailout package given by the IMF to Pakistan? So yes, still it is in under process. So how you see this IMF
Number
bailout
one,
package?
there is a beautiful English saying, beggars are not choosers. So we are beggars. So we cannot dictate our terms. Our finance minister tried to dictate terms, he was removed, and another finance minister took his place, which was favorable to IMF. So you can see the power of IMF. The thing is that if we had enough money coming in from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf, why didn't we need IMF? But the difference between the two is that the Saudi Arabians and the Qatar and such forth might not have put economic conditions, but maybe would have put political conditions which we do not know. But at the same time, IMF will not put you any political conditions, they will only put structural conditions. Now one thing I want to say, that till FAFT grey list, IMF is not going to give you any money.
Okay.
Number two, we have asked 6 billion at 2 billion per year for 3 years, and we have accepted their argument of having floating exchange rates, and we have already lost $13 billion in the worth of rupees in the exchange rates. So what is the use of the bailout package when you are getting 6 billion in 3 years, and in few months, 2 months, you have lost in the exchange rate about 13,
Okay, sir,
14, 15 billion.
No, currently, government has given a tax amnesty scheme. So how you see the tax amnesty scheme, which will help our economy for documentation? Because government believe that this tax amnesty scheme will help not only for documentation but also to revive our economy, so that we can have some money, dollars from the people who are not sharing, directly. So how you see this tax amnesty scheme?
I have never been in favor of tax amnesty schemes. I do not believe, why this is the 13th tax amnesty scheme, why governments are favorable to thieves and corrupt people and cannot give tax rebates and help to honest tax paying people. I have never understood that. This tax amnesty scheme has not been as successful like other tax amnesty schemes. But what you are talking about is as far as the documentation of the economy, irrespective, the government has already done that by bringing in NADRA and FBR AB, where every Pakistani who has an ID card, their assets will be shown.
Yes.
So the economy has been documented.
No, but the point, sir, is that once you do these kinds of schemes, so the people will have a national tax number, so directly or indirectly it can be beneficial.
Now the ID card is as good as
yes.
the
No,
the law is that ID card is the national tax
yes,
number.
national tax number. Yes.
So now what I am trying to say is that giving opportunities is, but those who are already filers. Now I believe that all the FBR, it's all FBR's inefficiencies. All the FBR has to do is send a documented tax return to each Pakistani who has an ID card, whether they are paying zero tax or whether they have to pay 10,000 or 100,000, and say this is what we think you should do, now kindly correct it and send it to us. The economy will be documented.
But this is the 13th tax amnesty scheme, So sir, do you think it will help our economy or not?
No, It will not. It
No,
will
but
not
you
help
know,
the
but all
economy. There will be a 14 scheme and there will be a 15 scheme. Every subsequent government says this is the last one.
Okay.
But it is not going to be the last one, because the friends and family members of many people in the parliament and in the governments irrespectively need to whiten their blackened money and need these MST schemes. I think the government should stop.
Okay, so sir, next is in this month government has presented budget 2019 and 20. So how you see overall this budget?
Look, I am in favor of this budget. Like every other budget, it is in a direction where it needs revenues, and it is in a direction where it needs to spend. The government has said that it is starting schemes to protect the poor. The government has said it is going to invest in development projects. The government, what I think was that the tax rate should have, the indirect tax rate should have come from 17% to 15%. But I appreciate that the direct taxes rate has gone to 32%, which is, I think it should go to 50% subsequently, but yes. The only issue remains is the registration of the taxpayer and the taking tax from, but in the same time, my question is not to the federal budget. Okay. 40-50% of their money is going to go to pay back old debts. There is money going to go to the defense, rightly so. A very little money is left for the provinces and for wages and such forth. I appreciate that upper 21, 22 grade people will not raise their wages, and I appreciate that the ministers are going to cut on 10%, and I appreciate that the lower grade people.
Army has also,
that's a very good, but I hope the provinces follow this. Now, my problem, real issues are provincial budgets. The provinces, especially Punjab, does not have to pay back any debt. The provinces does not have any defense expenditure. So why is the province not spending more on health, education and water? Rather than, you will again see that a large amount of provincial budget, like budgets of last years, is spent on current accounts. It should have gone more on schools, more in health.
But sir, you see one thing which is very discouraging for the professors and education sector, higher education. So they have just curtailed the budget of the higher education. So how you see, this is the area which is very important.
Allow me to say something. I am a professor. I work in a private sector university. I have been working in a public sector university. Basic education is the responsibility of the government. Higher education is the responsibility of the private sector. So the government should not be, yes, the government should spend money on scholarships so that people should go abroad, get better education and come back. But higher education should never be the responsibility of. They should allow government sector universities to generate more revenues.
But sir, research, without public funding, research is very important.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. How much of our HSC budget was going to research? I have maybe scientific research, but otherwise, where is our rating in?
But yes, I understand. But like the
research papers,
the people who in the higher education, they believe that we should have more funding for research.
Everybody believes that they should have more money.
Yes.
But why can't they work more in the restraints that they have been given? The country is in crisis. The country needs money. I believe, yes, research institutions should be created both with public and private partnerships, and more research should be. But we should learn to work under restraints rather than only ask for money. Let us calculate the input-output ratio.
Okay, sir. One is a very important area regarding the research is industry-DMAT linkages.
Yes.
So university should focus on industry agreement linkages, you know, and so that the private sector can contribute for research.
I 100% agree with what you are saying, but there are two players here, the industry and the academia. Number one, the industry, a large amount of that industry is buying research from abroad or not doing any research at all, and are not interested in research technically, apart from, as I said, progressive entrepreneurs. So their quest for linkages is not that much. The same is the case with the universities. One of the problems that I see is that most of the professors of universities have never understood the difference between a college and a university, and they have not understood the research culture is what university is. They have not understood, I will repeat you the statement of one of a businessman from Faisalabad. He said that you universities only cater for yourself. Your PhDs become professors. Yes, we in universities lack the capacity to do empirical research for industries.
Oh, sir, my last question is regarding the FDI, that is foreign direct investment. So every government is trying very hard, you know, for FDI, foreign direct investment, you know. But yes, we have issues of terrorism, we have issues of law and order, we have some other issues. We cannot provide cheap electricity, cheap energy, you know. So these are all issues. So do you think that we will be able to manage FDI?
In the short run, we are not going to manage, but the dollar rupee exchange rate, when dollar becomes more expensive, or rupee becomes cheaper, it becomes cheaper for FDI to come into a country, because for every dollar now they can buy 162 rupees and such forth. Technically, but what you have said is that the environment in this country, both political, social, legal, institutional and productive, is not as good as the neighboring country. So China and India get 50 billion each FDI, we can't even get 1 billion. And that is our attitude towards work, towards new techniques and such forth. We should allow foreign investors to come and compete in this country, not that only you will come in agriculture and you will come in industry and you will come in service sector. No, we should allow this country to become a hub of competition of foreign investors.
Dr. Kaisar, you know, we have to stop show due to shortage of time. Dr. Kaisar Aslam, thank you very much for sparing your time for this show. So viewers, so we have to just see that what is the economic challenges, what are the economic issues, and what is the budget situation in Pakistan. So with this hope that we will try to manage our resources, especially economic resources, natural resources. With this, please allow me till next time. Allah Hafiz.